in a painful environment, in a painful situation, whereby their bodies have been scattered on the plains of Karbala. Alaykum assalam. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم
صل
salli
على
ala
محمد
Muhammad wa
وآل
ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل
Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the 12th of Muharram is significant in terms of what we call it in our tradition, Soyem. Soyem is the third day of the Shahada, and this is the time of post Karbala. Karbala hasn't happened, and then now the caravan which Imam Hussein brought it to Karbala has converted into another caravan. That caravan was led by Imam Hussein. He was the Waqt Imam. He arrived in Karbala with the leading that caravan. This particular caravan is being led by Imam Sajjad, and the in charge of this caravan is different and in different circumstances. The arduous journey, the tough journey of prisoner of war, children and women, and particularly the Bibi Zainab Salamullah alayha, who was in charge of the children, who were in charge of the managing the children and ladies and all. She was conscious of the fact that nobody would be leaving behind. But the way historians have written that the way the caravan was being brutally, painfully moved from Karbala to Kufa, from Kufa to Sham. The rope, one single rope has tied in the neck of children, and the way handcuffed Imam Sajjad, and the way heavy metal chains have been put into him around his neck, around his body, was not easy in a heat like that. After all, they are now going to be more humiliated, as if it's not enough for the Yazid's army, Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad's army, to disseminate the body on the plains of Karbala, to trample the body of Shuhada, to cut off the heads of all Shuhada, raise them on the lances, and all the heads were being counted. One incident has been very painful. When they were counting the heads, the one of the head was missing. And in fact, he ordered that to find that head. And Imam Hussein actually buried Baby Ali Asghar behind the camp of where there was a camp from his sword. And the soldiers went around digging around, finding where is another person's body is being missing. And eventually, if the soldiers were digging up with their javelin, and they found that little grave of Ali Asghar, and they dug up that grave again and cut off the head of Ali Asghar. Look at the brutality. You cannot imagine. You cannot imagine. The little baby's head has been chopped and raised on the lances. Imam Hussein, how hard he was thinking of burying that baby behind the camp. And then he had to witness that in this situation, that how Imam Sajjad would bear this baby's head on the lancet. I mean, you cannot imagine the brutality in which This war had been conducted, and post-war situation had been conducted. Post-war situation I always talk about is aftermath is very tough on women, very tough on Imam Sajjad, and an incredible amount of energy that had been Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inculcated in the body of Imam Sajjad, that human being cannot bear the kind of pain and suffering that he had to witness on the day of Ashura, and then from the next day. And they were brutal during the time. If the children will fall from the back of the camel, they would not rest. They would not stop the caravan. They will continue. That's why those people who go on ziyarah, they will see along the way there's a lot of graves where children have been, the children has been left and not been picked up. This is something happened one night when Bibi Sakina, the lady, she was like 12, 13 years old, young lady, fell down, and Bibi Zainab salamullah put the foot down in a sense that she would not move until the Sakina had been found. And they stopped. It was a night time, during the night time. Then they found eventually, moved from there to Kufa. Now in Kufa, there are many incidents happened when they reached Sham. That procession, people were unaware of that what happened in Karbala. People were ignorant. There was no messaging or news or whatever. Something happened in Karbala, people were ignorant. All people knew that they were uprising against the power of Yazid. And if they're uprising against the power of Yazid, they must be they're considered to be put down, and they are just the prisoners who against the state, upstate, as they call it. And so therefore they were throwing stones, they were throwing hot water when they were going through the alleyways of Sham in Syria. Now then, when the caravan reaches to the palace of Yazid, it was not enough for them to less humiliate. They had to wait for 5-6 days around the palace in a painful situation. People did not know who they were. One person came to Imam Sajjad. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I recognized you. You are the son of Imam Hussein. Allow me to do something for you. What can I do something? Imam Sajjad said, come closer to me. See, my neck is hurting so bad. Just tore the piece of my cloth and stuck it between my neck. And this man helped Imam Sajjad to put the cloth under his neck. This is the time when Imam Sajjad was humiliated outside the palace of Yazid for 6-7 days in this scorching heat, because inside the palace the preparation for celebrations were happening. Powerful people were invited as a guest. Historians have written 700 people were invited. They're looking for, but here the miracles are going to be happening with the speech of Imam Sajjad. After all the arduous journey, he does not lose the hope. And as soon as the time of Zohr comes, the Salah time comes, their prayer starts and they say, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Immediately, he recognizes it, he points out, who is Rasulullah? Is he your grandfather or my grandfather? Do you know who I am? Those people who are sitting around here, do they know what happened to my father? I am the grandson of Rasulullah. And therefore, in the competition of that voice of Imam Sajjad, the order to be more adhan should be raised, one after another, in order to suppress his voice. The treacherous, because they want to hide the identity of Imam Sajjad. But that's not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala